My name is Elizabeth. I am 34 years old. I live in a small house with my husband and 2 children. My husband's name is John. He was not always like this. He was happy once. He could talk, walk, laugh, and play with the children. Now he cannot even say my name. I remember the day everything changed. It was a normal morning. John went to work like always. He looked fine. He smiled at me and kissed our son on the head. He said, "See you soon." But that was the last time I heard him speak clearly. That evening, something went wrong. He did not come home on time. I called his phone again and again, but there was no answer. I felt scared. Then the hospital called. They told me John had a fall. He hit his head very hard. He was not awake. I rushed to the hospital. When I saw him, I cried. His eyes were open, but he looked far away. He did not see me. He did not speak. The doctor said the damage was serious. He could live, but he would not be the same. He would not think like before. He would need help every day. From that day, our life changed. I brought him home. He could not dress himself. He could not use the bathroom alone. He could not play with the children. He sat on the bed and looked at the wall. Sometimes he laughed for no reason. Sometimes he cried at night. I had to help him eat. I had to clean him, wash him, feed him, hold him. I had to be his wife, nurse, mother, and friend. At first, I hoped he would get better. I told myself this was only for a short time, but days passed, then weeks, then months, and nothing changed. He still could not speak. He still did not know my name. Sometimes he did not even know who I was. The children did not understand. Our son is 6 years old. Our daughter is 4. They ask, "Why is Daddy quiet?" I say, "Daddy is sick." They ask, "Will he get better?" I say, "I don't know." I try to smile, but it is hard. I don't want them to feel my pain. I want them to be happy. Every morning, I wake up before the sun. I make breakfast. I help the children dress. I pack their bags. I kiss their cheeks. Then I wake John. I wash his face. I help him change his clothes. I give him his medicine. I feed him slowly. Sometimes he spits the food out. Sometimes he stares at me like a stranger. Then I take the children to school. I do small jobs near home to earn some money. Cleaning, washing. Sometimes I help an old neighbor. People in the street greet me. They say, "You are so strong." I smile, but they don't know. They don't see me cry at night. They don't see how tired I am. I don't sleep much. John moves a lot at night. He sometimes talks in his sleep, strange words I don't understand. Sometimes he screams. I get up and hold his hand. I say, "It's okay. I'm here. But he does not hear me. I sit with him until he sleeps again. Then I go back to bed, but I cannot rest. There is no time for me. I don't buy clothes. I don't go out. I don't talk to friends. I don't dream anymore. My only wish is that John says my name once again. Just once. I want to hear him say, Elizabeth. I want to feel his hand in mine like before. Before the accident, John loved music. He played guitar. He sang to our children. He made them laugh. He called me my sunshine. Now, he does not sing. He does not play. The guitar is still in the corner, covered in dust. I look at it sometimes and remember the sound. I miss his voice. Sometimes I feel angry. I know it's not his fault, but I feel tired. I feel alone. I want someone to ask me, "How are you really?" But no one does. They only ask, "How is John?" I smile and say, "He is the same." Then I turn away so they don't see the tears in my eyes. One day, my son brought home a drawing. It was our family. 4 people. Me, the 2 kids, and John in a chair. My son said, "Daddy does not stand, so I drew him sitting." I smiled and said, "Good job." But inside, I felt like my heart was breaking. Even the children now see him as someone who cannot move. Still, I do not give up. I wake up every day and try again. I read books to John. I play soft music near him. I take him outside when the sun is warm. I show him flowers. I point at birds. Sometimes I see a small smile on his face. A short moment of peace. It gives me hope. Last week, something happened. I was reading to him in the garden. The children were playing nearby. I said, "John, look at the sky." He looked up. Then he turned his face to me. He looked at me for a long time. Then he whispered something. I did not hear it well, but it sounded like Liz. It was the first word he said in months. My name, or part of it. My heart jumped. I said, "John, did you say something?" But he did not answer. He looked away again. Still, that one moment gave me strength. Maybe he is still in there, somewhere deep. Maybe he knows I am here. That night, I cried, but it was a different kind of cry. It was not pain. It was hope. I kissed him on the forehead. I said, "I love you, John." He did not reply, but I will keep saying it. Every day. Maybe one day he will say it back. Before I share the rest of my story, I need to know, where are you listening from? Knowing someone hears me, understands me, gives me strength. The next day, I watched John more closely. I waited for another word, another look, another sign. But nothing came. He sat in his chair, quiet and still. I made his breakfast. I helped him eat. He looked past me. His eyes were empty again. I told myself not to cry, but I felt something break inside. I did not tell the children what I heard. I was not sure. Maybe it was not my name. Maybe it was just a sound. But I held that moment in my heart like a small light. Even if it was just Liz, it was mine. That week was hard. Our daughter got sick. She had a fever and cried at night. I had to care for her and John at the same time. I gave her medicine. I held her in one arm and helped John with the other. I did not sleep at all. My back hurt. My head hurt. But I could not stop. At school, my son drew another picture. It showed me holding up the whole family. Me at the center. The others around me. When I saw it, I smiled. But it made me sad too. I did not want to carry everything alone. I wanted someone to carry me, even just for a minute. Sometimes I go to the small market near our house. I take John in a wheelchair and push him slowly. The people look at us. Some smile, some look away. One woman said, "God bless you. You are doing so much." I smiled back, but I felt tired. No one really knows how hard it is. I don't take photos anymore. I don't post anything. I stopped using my phone for fun. I only use it to call the school or the doctor. I don't have time to share happy pictures. There are no happy pictures, just long days and long nights. A few days later, I had a small talk with my neighbor. Her name is Grace. She is kind. She sometimes gives me food or helps me carry heavy things. That day she said, "You should take a break, even for one day." I smiled and said, "Who will take care of John?" She said, "Maybe someone can help." But I shook my head. I cannot leave him. He needs me. One night, I was folding clothes in the bedroom. The children were sleeping. John was sitting on the bed. I turned and saw him watching me. I said, "What is it?" He blinked slowly. Then he lifted his hand and pointed to me. His hand shook. He looked tired. Then he said one word, "Wife." That word hit me like a wave. It was not clear. It was soft. But I heard it. He said wife. My eyes filled with tears. I walked to him. I sat beside him and held his hand. I said, "Yes, I am your wife." He looked at me again, but this time his eyes were not empty. They were full of something. Maybe memory. Maybe love. That moment stayed with me all night. I could not sleep again. But I was not tired. I felt warm inside. I started to hope again. Maybe he was still with me. Not the same, but still mine. The next day, I played music in the house, the old songs he used to love. I put the speaker near him and played soft guitar music. I saw his head move a little. I think he was listening. I sat beside him and held his hand. We stayed like that for a long time. Later that week, I took the children to the park. I pushed John in his chair and let the kids run. The sky was blue. The sun was bright. I sat under a tree with John. I gave him a small snack and some water. He looked at the sky. Then he turned to me and smiled. Not a big smile, just a small one. But it was real. I looked at that smile like it was gold. I wanted to hold it forever. I touched his hand and said, "You smiled at me." He looked at me but said nothing. Still, my heart was full. The children came running back. Our daughter gave John a flower, a small yellow one. He took it in his hand and looked at it. Then he gave it to me. I held the flower to my chest. I almost cried, but I smiled and said, "Thank you, John." That night, I sat on the bed beside him. The children were asleep. I said, "You gave me a flower today." He looked at me. I said, "You are still here, aren't you?" He did not answer, but he held my hand. That was enough. The next morning, I woke up early again. I started the same work. Breakfast, cleaning, dressing, packing lunch, checking homework. I helped John wash. I combed his hair. I put on his shirt. He looked at himself in the mirror. Then he looked at me. His lips moved. He did not speak, but he tried. Every day, I watch him closely. Every day, I wait for something, a word, a look, a smile. Sometimes nothing comes. Sometimes I feel empty again. But I do not give up. I tell myself, "You are doing your best." I tell myself, "He is trying too." Some days I feel weak. I want to sleep for hours. I want to be free. I want someone to cook for me, to wash for me, to ask me, "How do you feel today?" But I know that won't happen. Not now. So I get up, I move, I keep going. I don't ask for much. I don't need gifts. I don't need flowers. I don't need big words. I just want to hear him say my name. That is my wish. That is enough. Sometimes I talk to God. I say, "Please help me stay strong." I don't ask for a miracle. I just ask for one more good day, one more smile, one more wife. When people say, "You are strong," I say, "No, I am just doing what I must." This is my life. This is my love. One afternoon, it started to rain. I looked outside and felt cold. I made tea and sat with John near the window. He watched the rain fall. I said, "You always loved the rain." He did not answer, but his eyes moved. I saw something, a small light, a little sign. I took his hand and held it. The rain was soft. The house was quiet. The children were at school. It was just the two of us. I looked at John and remembered the early days. He used to laugh a lot. He loved to walk by the lake. He would tell jokes. He would carry me when I was tired. I missed that man, but I also loved the man beside me now, even if he was different. Later that evening, our son asked, "Was Dad always like this?" I shook my head. "No," I said. "Before, he was very strong." My son asked, "Do you think he will be strong again?" I paused. "Maybe not like before," I said, "but he is still here. He is still our family." That night, I lay beside John. I closed my eyes. I was so tired. My body ached, but I felt his hand move slowly. He touched my arm. It was light, like a whisper. I opened my eyes. He was looking at me. I said, "John?" He did not speak, but he moved closer. He rested his head near mine. I did not sleep. I stayed still. I did not want the moment to pass. For a short time, it felt like the old days. Just two people in love, lying together in peace. No pain, no fear, just quiet love. The next day, I felt strong. I made pancakes for the children. They laughed at the table. I played music again. John sat near the window and watched. I danced a little in the kitchen. He looked at me and smiled. My heart felt full. In the afternoon, I helped him walk to the garden, step by step. He held my arm. His feet were slow, but he tried. The sun was warm. The grass was green. We sat on a bench. I said, "Look at the flowers." He looked. Then he said, "Nice." Just one word, but it meant the world to me. Each small word felt like gold. Each step felt like a gift. I did not know what the future would bring, but I learned not to wait for big things. I looked for small things. A smile, a look, a soft word. They were enough. One Sunday, I took the children to the park again. We brought John too. Our daughter held his hand. She said, "Daddy, do you see the birds?" He looked up. He said, "Birds." She laughed and clapped. It was her favorite moment. I watched them and felt proud. Many people still looked at us. Some looked sad. Some looked sorry. But I did not care. I was proud of my family. My husband was not like other men now, but he was still mine. My children were young, but they were full of love. We were not perfect, but we were together. At home, I started to write down his words, not in a notebook, just in my heart. I remembered each one. Wife, Liz, nice. Birds. I did not need paper. I kept them safe in my mind. One evening, our daughter gave John a hug. She said, "I love you, Daddy." He did not answer right away, but after a minute, he said, "Love." I gasped. She smiled. She said, "I knew it. You still love me." He touched her cheek. My heart felt warm. I sat down and looked at him. I said, "You are getting better, John." He looked at me and smiled again. Then very slowly, he said, "You, Liz." I closed my eyes. A tear rolled down my face. That was all I needed. Some days were still hard. He would forget things. He would cry at night. He would scream or sit in silence. But those moments did not break me now. I had learned to wait. I had learned to love the quiet, the pain, and the small joys. I had learned to live one day at a time. One night, I sat on the porch. The stars were bright. The wind was soft. I held a blanket over my lap. John sat beside me. The children were inside playing. I said, "Do you remember this place?" He looked around. Then he said, "Home." I nodded. "Yes, John. This is home." In that moment, I felt peace. I felt tired, but not empty. I had lost many things, but I had love. I had my children. I had small words. I had soft smiles. I had hope. This was not the life I dreamed of, but it was my life. And I had chosen love, even when love was hard, even when love did not speak my name. But now, sometimes, it does. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, comment, and share. More emotional and inspiring stories are coming soon.